Hey everybody, welcome back to your free TV. It is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Such an exciting day as Trump takes over with the American Revolution 2.0 there in Davos and just crushing the globalists with his incredible agenda to make prosperity for the world and get the elites and the royals out of our business and stopping this mass control and their plan for, of course, genocide, population control, population reduction, takeover of the planet for whoever they work for, okay, whether it's Satan or whether it is some off-planet transhumanist thing. Trump has defeated them today, and we're going to jump into it. I want to start with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution, protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act of reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence, hatred, or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. And I always start by saying thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa, for the donation. That was perfect timing, perfect for me. And thank you to everybody who supports the channel monthly. Let's, support You Are Free TV, make it thrive, and really go places here in 2026 as we have the incredible revival of America and also the prosperity to the world through the Trump teams basically going full bore against the heart of the Hydra there in the EU today in Davos, Switzerland. So we're going to jump into his incredible speech, but also so much besides. And I will plug at the end of the channel for my, at the end of the video for my incredible sponsors, C60 Evo. But let's jump in. And I did want to just point this out as we get started. Incredible new studies. And this comes out of Raw Egg Nationalist, who is now known as Charles Cornish Dale, basically bringing up the new studies, also being brought out by the Defender, the Children's Health Defense, CHD. .com, CHD.TV. That I just wanted to put this out because I think it's really important as people are, as Trump has lowered the price of drugs in the first favored nations that he has also talked about in Davos today, basically with Ozempic or GLP-1 drugs, these incredible new studies that have proven multiple things, and I just want to put it out there because it's important for people's wellness, is that these are the threats that you face with diseases taking these drugs that are Gila venom, God, what is the name? I don't even have the name on the top of my head of that deep water fish that basically it's a toxin from this very ugly looking deep water fish. But basically that stomach paralysis, gastroparesis is a huge threat of this, and also massive hair loss due to metabolic stress that is put on the body as you take these drugs that are just attacking your digestive system and making you not want to eat, is causing huge hair loss for people. And then we also have this thing of major bone loss, osteoporosis, osteopenia, all of this being very important to understand, as well as a study that shows that people who have been doing weight loss kind of the traditional way, which is change your diet and exercise, right? Basically, that when people stop taking GLP-1s, they tend to gain the weight 4 times faster. Okay, gain the weight back like hugely, 4 times faster than people who were dieting with exercise and diet. And that's massive to understand as well. These drugs are dependent drugs, and I want to put that out there. You can supercharge your metabolism with things like C60 Evo, which actually is an incredible metabolic booster, how it cleans out your cells, but also things like Irish sea moss, all of these things that can really, and turmeric, and all of these things that get your endocrine system back on track and your liver functioning properly. Those are really the things that you need for weight loss. So anyway, I wanted to put that in there. I know people want to get to Davos, but I think those, our health is number one if we're going to survive into this American Revolution 2.0, that people need to understand these drugs are not a gift. They are dangerous. So, okay, moving forward, for entertainment purposes only on that. But what we have coming out of Trump, it was just amazing at Davos today. And so let's jump in. We have one point that I'll just throw out in the beginning, which was a surprise and great sort of breaking news, Trump called it, which was that in with the election 2020 steal, that prosecutions are coming. And this is fantastic. We know this gets into and he just broke that at Davos in his speech. And it also today, ODNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, putting out that we have huge new declassifications coming of evidence to deal with this, the election steal of 2020. And we know everything Venezuela is about this, all of it. And so that's coming as well. We're going to see that coming out of ODNI. And basically, as we look at this, Trump said, these are the things we need for a nation. You need strong borders, you need free and fair elections, and you also need a free and a truth-seeking media. And he was very clear on that. And so that was very exciting. And this, of course, gets into the Fort Pierce, I believe, Florida, with Eileen Cannon, Judge Eileen Cannon, who has been fantastic um, in her role as a judge when it comes to a truth and actual constitutional law. And so this is all coming down, that there are some big things coming. And so it's really interesting when you look at Larry Fink, and I think I'll start here before I jump into Trump, is that Trump, well, Larry Fink, okay, head of the WEF, and this kind of hostile takeover of the WEF, where you had Klaus Schwab sort of escaping jail, but like fully denounced with his mass money laundering out of Davos. That you always have to, was it the New York Times? I'm not sure who said it, but basically, the New York Times, was it the New York Times? I'm not sure. I'll see what I link below. But that, Davos is like an HOA fee for the elites, right? They come in there and they have to pay this money to participate. And they basically are just coming in there for a massive party, but then also to get their deals done. And Larry Fink basically said Trump is the most important leader in the world, and we are so privileged to have him here. And it's he kind of went in for a hug with Trump when Trump was about to do a speech, and Trump was like, "Nah, we're not hugging here." It was so over the top with this gushing and groveling over Trump that made me think of the meeting at Checkers, and all the tech bros, and Larry Fink was there, and everything that happened with the Royals in England last summer, and how Fink, who came in, as I said, and Klaus Schwab, who did the money laundering and all of this, everything that happened with Davos with his parallel World Economic Forum Foundation that Klaus Schwab had been siphoning tons of money off of, and tried to participate with his tiny little video as it started. That could there be a Larry Fink? Could there be a turn of the tide with BlackRock as the largest, besides Vanguard? I think it's like 14. Is it like $14 trillion they manage of money? Enormous amounts of money, including the pension funds, etc. And could there be a place where somehow Larry Fink has been brought into the reconfiguration of this globalist elite to side with America. It was so over the top, and you could say, well, that's just acting on Larry Fink's part. But perhaps, but it was very, very, very interesting. And so let's get in here. I'll mention real quick, there was so much. I mean, Bessent, it has been amazing at Davos. Lutnick, for better or worse, also fantastic in his speech at Davos, basically saying that the World Economic Forum, he sees them as the flag, not the flagpole standing in the middle with great solutions for the world. He sees them basically blowing with the wind, whichever way they can make the most money to gain the most power, and that the World Economic Forum and globalism has failed the West and the people of Europe. And it's very interesting to watch it. So there also was, just a quick aside here, there was a rabbi who got up there, and I don't have his name in front of me. Hopefully I can link the video below, that got up and said, we need to attack Islamophobia as well as anti-Semitism in Europe. That's how we win. That's how we go for peace, and how we whatever. It was just this massive propaganda that Islamophobia must be tackled, just like in Australia with their new massive hate laws that actually targeting Australians, native Australians. And the same with this speech of targeting native Europeans, Christian based people, let's just say it. And that is the way, because Trump came in and he says Europe is unrecognizable, and your problem with allowing mass immigration is destroying Europe. And he didn't come out full and say this is an Islamic jihadist problem, but basically was inferring that. So let's get over to the speech. So many things. Oh, well, actually, before we get to the speech, Trump already meeting with Ruta and others, already came out of Davos with a plan for Greenland. Okay, it took a couple hours, and he had already said in the beginning, there's no military anything about Greenland. That's not happening from the USA. He said basically we're going to make an economic deal, and came out with this from this meeting, basically saying that we have made a deal. No tariffs will be imposed on Europe. And Europe, during his speech earlier in the day this morning, had already, the European leaders, von der Leyen and all of them, had already canceled their signing of the tariff and trade agreement with the USA. They were holding firm, and basically said, Trump said, we're not imposing Greenland related tariffs on Europe, and we've already made a deal. And that this deal, Trump called it basically the long-term infinite deal. Okay. And basically what it looks like is that this is going to be where it includes all of the Arctic, and it includes the building of this Golden Dome that is the missile defense system for the Western Hemisphere, and that this is, of course, protecting all of the West. So we don't know the details yet, but what it looks like is we're going to have an extended NATO US agreement, okay, that gives the US the power over Greenland when it comes to making decisions to do with military infrastructure, and also deals regarding gas, oil, rare earths, etc. And I hope, honestly, I hope, I heard Ezra Levant put this out today, but and Ezra Levant on the ground there in Davos, of course, of Rebel Media. He's been going every year for so many years. You can go to wefreports.com, wefreports.com, and support Rebel Media there, because they're on the ground scrumming all of, whether it is Chrystia Freeland or Eric Schmidt or Bill Gates, all of them just going out there and going after them and doing great work to show to the world what these people are like as they go about their business as billionaires in Davos. But basically, Trump said that, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Witkoff will be leading the Greenland negotiations. We already have a deal in progress, and it's already done. And so that's how quick it happens, right? No military threat. And what Ez Levant had to say, which I'm putting out now, is he said, hey, for $20 billion, you could get each household. You say there's 56,000 people of Greenland. You could give, think that's 20,000 households. Give them $1 million each, and then also give them some sort of Alaska style sovereign wealth fund that comes out of the drilling, the mining, all of it. And hey, by the way, we'd like that in the USA, Trump. By the way, we would like it with the drill baby drill and the grow baby grow. We would really like also a sovereign wealth fund for the people here, and that's not communism. That is the American people getting a taste of the growth. Okay, that will add to us being able to buy those Trump homes that are coming, and everything he had to say about that, one of which was people with 401ks can use their 401ks as down payments for new homes. He is, he said there's a he coming in as the new head of the Fed after Too Late Powell is gone. And basically that the 401ks, if you use for a down payment on a home, will be without penalty for cashing in part of your 401k or all of it or whatever. And so very interesting there. I would throw in, because of the mass sterilization and genocide that Denmark has done upon the Greenlanders, and especially the Inuits. Why not throw in some free IVF and free fertility treatments? I'm not for it. It's not my thing. However, if women who are still of childbearing age, who were put through that awful and evil, without their knowledge, sterilization, who are still of childbearing age, perhaps, that could be part of the deal as well. And so very interesting as we watch this, uh, you know, as we watch this unfold today, it has been absolutely over the top. And then we have the Board of Peace besides it. And so we're looking at America Revolution 2.0, at the America House 250 at Davos for the first time ever, with a huge presentation dominating Davos, dominating the billionaires of the royals. Usually it was just all them, right? All them. Eat the bugs. We're going to shut down your industry. We're going to shut down everything, and of course we're going to geoengineer your skies, etc. They're still planning to do that. That's a long fight, but it did come out last week, something with the fact that geoengineering is being investigated, and I'm hoping by next week I will have more information on this. This is coming out of everything HHS, everything connected with NASA and NOAA. So an interesting combo of players there, but we're going to get to it. So let's get into, and then we have to talk about Bessent, because Bessent is a boss. Okay. Trump called Bessent and Lutnick total opposites, and they are. But Bessent really also came back. He's spoken like 4 or 5 times at Davos, coming away with incredible stuff. We'll get to what he said on Newsome, which was fantastic. Newsome there like a jackal, just with, there with Alex Soros, his new benefactor, and the man trying to push him for 2028, looking like, just not well, I would say, on drugs. Okay, he did not look well, but there he is. And so we'll get into what Bessent had to say about him and many other things in a moment. But let's get into Trump. Trump says he comes and he arrives and he says, "I come with phenomenal news from America." Super fantastic. And he says that the USA going forward in this year is about to experience exponential growth never seen by a country before. He talked about the almost $19 trillion in investment into the USA in his first year. Just remember that yesterday, Trump got up. I mean, his speech at Davos was about almost 2 hours, and then he took questions for about 30 minutes. This is after flying over and having to return back to the USA because Air Force One had some electrical problems. Thank God, thank you, God, for saving Trump. I pray for Trump every day. I hope you do too, because obviously, whatever happened there, I always I go with the fact that they're always trying to kill Trump, and so the fact that the plane returned back to D.C. Then he had to leave and go again. And then also in Davos, there were incredible, there was never seen before U.S. military anti-missile defense systems brought to Davos, anti-drone situations, all of it already there to protect Trump arriving in Davos and never seen before. And so thank God that he made it there okay and still has the incredible energy, as RFK Jr. said, of an Olympian or a deity. And we're not comparing him to our deity Jesus Christ at all whatsoever. We're saying that the Holy Spirit is sitting in him and fueling him and giving him God's protection, God's emergence to do this work. And it truly is incredible. So basically, what Trump then said is, "We pray Europe will follow our model and bring prosperity to your people. Europe is not recognizable anymore, and that's not in a good way." He says, the federal government, we have fired in the USA 270,000 bureaucrats from our federal government. A lot of people don't understand or know that. And basically saving $100 billion in federal spending by doing so, and cutting the federal budget enormously also by doing so. And he talked about what he wishes that these other countries would do. And he talked about 100% tax deduction of the cost of building factories and plants and businesses in the United States right now, that in 1 year you can deduct the cost of this infrastructure building, whereas it used to be spread out over 35 to 40 years to get those tax deductions and repay for the money you've invested. Very, very important there, and just amazing. That's Scott Bessent. Okay, that is the incredible minds of um, of OMB, of all of these great people that are doing this work behind the scenes there at the White House and in Treasury. And he talked very clearly to Europe, to these oligarchs who intended to destroy us and capture the world. And we still have the threat of the national asset corporations, everything that could come with AI in their attempt to control the world, because we know people like Chrystia Freeland and everyone controlling the central banks and the business, the Bank of International, the Bank of International, BIS. I'm missing the last word there. Settlements, Bank of International Settlements. That's what they want. This universal ledger that is digitally programmable. And so basically, what he is saying is that your Green New Scam is the greatest hoax in history. Literally, just saying it straight out to them. The greatest hoax in history. This Green New Scam that basically stole everybody's energy, stole their abilities to be able to make great livings through regular industry, and that was stolen. And he talks about there being basically, he said that, energy is what makes money, and the lack of it is what destroys an economy. He called out Germany, talking about 64% reduction in their energy forces, what they've done, and how they're having to backtrack now, which they are. And he talked about Mertz and saying he's going to be restoring nuclear power and coal power to Germany to get their economy back. He talked about 1/3 of the power in the UK, that the UK is only generating 1/3. The UK is only generating 1/3 of what they used to power, um, uh, what they used to produce for energy back in 1999. And so we're seeing this. And Trump specifically lined out, the North Sea, and how they won't use the resources of the North Sea with the massive oil and gas reserves there, and that the UK takes 92% of oil revenues away. Okay, and how, we're seeing how the UK is suffering, and we're seeing how Ireland is suffering. I loved how Matt Bracken, I think mattbracken.com, or enemiesforeignanddomestic.com, Matt Bracken, he was saying, hey, Ireland, let's go. We've got Greenland first. We're working on Canada, for hemispheric defense. And of course, Trump shot down Carney super hard, basically saying to Carney, you might want to watch what you say, with your middle powers, new alliances with China, and trying to make this as if it's Canada and these and Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, and China versus the USA. He's like, we pay for you. We have paid for you for 80 years. There would be no Canada economy without us, and you really want to, don't keep saying what you're saying, basically, on the threat to America, with somehow Carney is the new, I don't know, the new, I don't know, Ursula von der Leyen or whatever, basically trying to say, Mark Carney did yesterday, we are aligning, that Canada is with the EU, it's with the UK, and it is with these other countries versus America, and Trump's equalizing trade, basically saying, yes, we have tariffs because that's what equalizes. You've been doing it forever against us, and we're out of money. We're out of resources. If we don't reverse it, we won't have a country anymore. Doy. And so we are doing it now, and we're doing it full bore. And we are the rising tide that lifts all ships. We are doing it, and you're going to get with us and rise your tide, rise your thing, and just understand you're not going to kill America to do it. America is going to thrive, and you all will thrive too, but we'll have equal playing field when it comes to tariffs according to our abilities and our economic function. That if the American economy explodes and does wonderfully, that will help you amazingly, but not on these old terms of that everything is just Pax Americana. Everything is just steal, steal, steal from America until we're dead. Okay, because that there's nothing left after that. And so Trump has done an amazing job. And so basically, he went on from there to talk about, the windmills, being very clear, making it great, great straight statement, saying these stupid people of Europe and America that bought the windmills. China doesn't, they make the windmills, they make the solar panels, but they don't use them. They don't. They just manufacture them. They use coal and gas, and the stupid people who have destroyed the landscapes. The thing with the windmills is that it's not just about the awfulness of killing the birds, killing the whales if they're offshore, killing the sea life, the vibration and the situation of that massive momentum of interference vibrationally is huge, and people don't think so much about our electrical and vibrational frequencies, and how it destroys us, how hard it is when you introduce things like these massive windmills, or even this solar powered energy. It is a very, very different vibe, a very different dimensional electrical resonance that happens, and it's very disturbing, as much as I would say 5G, 6G, everything coming along the line there. And that's also very disturbing, and things we will continue to talk about on this channel. However, it was great to see him say that, hey, China doesn't use them, but they sell them to you and they don't work, they break down, and you have to keep buying them from China. So you're basically just saying that your energy alliance is with China for this serving energy that doesn't work. And so it was great to hear him say that. He talked about Venezuela, and he talked about Greenland. He basically said Greenland is, a North American territory that we could have kept after World War II, but didn't. And that it's not about the rare earths and energy, it is about our hemispheric defense. And he made his plea there before they then came out with a great deal at the end of the day today, which we'll be finding out more about tomorrow, that NATO, we give so much and we get so little. And again, this is just has been the sucking, as Ron Paul said, the giant sucking sound out of the UK and the royals of Europe, and the royals of the UK and the Rothschilds at all, stealing everything from America through NATO, okay? And he said, we get so little, we get nothing. And so let us have Greenland. Let us have this after everything we've done for you, so that we can progress and protect ourselves and proceed into the Arctic, which is the newly understood territory, where the fastest route for the Chinese and obviously the Russians, if they chose to go against us, but of course they will not. And we have Trump meeting with Zelensky, actually not him, but I think it's Witkoff, or I think there was some talk, I don't know if it'll be a meeting as much as a phone call, with Trump and Zelensky later this week, Witkoff going to meet directly with Zelensky. And again, the great thing about the prosecution of the 2020 election still coming up is what he then went into. He says Europe and NATO doesn't appreciate what America does. They weren't even paying their 2%. And those who are paying now, Poland, okay, are our huge allies. And you saw, is it, what is his name? Navrosky. Navrosky out of Poland was fantastic in the sit down between Ruta and uh, with an American moderator who just was trying to say Trump is evil for trying to take Greenland. Well, this was the NATO EU panel, and you had Mark Rutte, Secretary General of NATO, and then you had the Polish President Narowski, who is fantastic. And he basically said the matter between Denmark, this matter of Greenland is between Denmark and America. He said NATO is stable. America is Poland's largest bilateral partner. We're not going to go against them. U.S. pays 65% of NATO at least. And we have to listen to what Trump wants on Greenland because America leads NATO. Sounds very, very logical and true. And the dreamland of where they thought it would stay static forever with just the royals and these kings, King Frederick of Denmark, with this big polar bear on his coat of arms, somehow means something. It doesn't anymore. Okay, the globalist royals based order, instead of rules, let's call it royals based order, and bankster based order is changing rapidly because, and only because, of Donald J. Trump and all of us that support him and pray, and our warriors for the Prince of Peace, trying to save the world from a genocidal, transhumanist, maniacal cult of Satanists. Okay, and so basically, Narosky also said that we have 10,000 U.S. soldiers in Poland, and USA is the best military equipment on the planet. We're buying it, and but Poland has the biggest army in Central Europe, and we are backing Trump in his plan over Greenland because we believe, and we're paying 5% of NATO, that America has the right to make this say over their hemispheric defense. And the Finland president basically, Stubb, basically said, we have a really capable military too, and the largest Europe military to do with the Arctic. They said we have 1 million people of Finland trained in Arctic defense, and we have basically something like 280,000 soldiers we could call up if there was a war. But constantly, I'm sure it was like some somebody out of Council for Relations or one of these other like Pinchuk funded groups that was trying to goat them into Trump's trying to steal Greenland, and they were just like, no, we're not going for it. So that was really exciting to see as well. And so, Trump's incredible speech went on and on. He talked about U.S. residential housing to the face of Larry Fink and all the Vanguard members were there, about the hedge funds owning residential property in the United States. He said we are banning large hedge funds and investment banks from owning U.S. property. He didn't say divest. We wish they would, and we want to push for it. But basically, USA will not be a nation of renters, and that going forward this year, new innovations to make housing affordable for Americans is coming. And he talked also about, he basically used the word usury, talking about the big banks and credit cards, and said he is wanting legislation immediately out of Congress to cap the credit card 10% interest rate to happen for 1 year to allow people to get out of debt more quickly, to allow them to use this 1 year to pay down their debt and move forward. And it's almost like, well, let's start that 1 year, like maybe in a few months after people get back on our feet better, to start it right now, before people actually have more income and more cheaper cost of living, although it is coming down. Might be the better plan. Maybe start it in July 4th, right? Start that 10% gap if it's only going to be for 1 year. How about we make it for 2 years, 3 years? Because that's what people need. Okay, because we have this massive trillions and trillions of credit card debt that people are dying under since COVID. And it is awful, really, since 2008. I mean, the whole takeover of BlackRock, Vanguard, et al., of residential housing, of the big buyout, the big bankster steal. And so he said we are creating the plan that will help new homes to be available and affordable without crushing the market and destroying the wealth of current homeowners. He said, I also don't want to destroy the appreciation. We don't want to create mass depreciation of people who already own homes, and that there will be solutions to this coming. Of course, the great Bill Pulte in there as his kind of housing czar in the administration, and of course Scott Turner at HUD, making sure that that they're getting illegals out of the Section 8 housing, etc. And so we'll be keeping a watch it. But what Trump went on to say, the USA is keeping the whole world afloat. Everyone is taking advantage of us. Without the USA, there are no other economically powerful European countries. Hence, we should be having the lowest interest rates of all the countries because we are producing the most, and we should therefore benefit from the low interest rates when it comes to central banks, and of course our Fed, our American central banks, our leaders, Jerome Powell, who will be out soon, and of course dealing with the indictment and et cetera, to do with the fraud with the Fed building revamping. Basically saying that they run to Europe every month. Okay, our Fedsters in the U.S., they go to Europe every month, meeting with the European Central Bank, and the other bigs, the BIS, and basically he's saying, Europe is getting these low interest rates. America is the one with the dominant economy that deserves the low interest rates, and very, very well said by Trump there. And he said, start celebrating USA growth. Let's get going in our rifle sizes for mutual success. Um, and so, very, very, very well said by Trump. And it goes on from there. But I want to cut to what he said about Newsome here, because Newsome was standing at the back of the room as this was going on. Gavin Newsome, the Getty boy, right? The pretend Getty stepson, right? Nancy Pelosi's nephew, never was an elite, never was a Getty, always pretending, always wishing he could be. And I'll get into what Scott Bessent said about him in a moment, but he basically said to Newsome, he politely said, my friend Gavin, how about you let U.S. come in with our federal agents to clean up your cities, right? And we had in L.A. today, there was some kind of a federal agent shooting of weapons going on in Portland. Last night, we had some, what they're saying, a white man with a beard shooting two officers in Portland, Oregon last night. And this is getting their operatives, of course, to make ICE more and more squirrely, more and more apt to shoot, discharge weapons, because they keep wanting to push this civil war scenario, keep pushing this fight of the sanctuary cities against ICE. But what Trump then had to say was, we are canceling Mr. Newsome, who's running 2028 with Alex Soros money, there with Alex Soros as his sugar daddy, as Bessent said so well today. I'll get into it in a moment. But he basically said, we are canceling all federal money to sanctuary cities, Mr. Newsome. And this is because of the illegal migration industry and fraud. They're about to go after California hard on the fraud, just like Minnesota, and just like what's coming up in Ohio, New York State, all of it coming out over the internet. Huge work by independent journalists, of course, Nick Shirley, fantastic at the top, but it's coming out all over the place, and the DOJ is after it. And so, and today we also had, of course, huge, long House Oversight Committee meeting about trying to get the vote for basically getting a criminal charge put forward for the Clintons for not showing up for the Epstein hearings and their contempt of Congress situation. Very, very clear there. And of course, the Dems super defending the Clintons. And yeah, let's hope that happens. Okay, but what Trump then went on to say is there's going to be no more Somali pirates, no more Somali pirates in the USA from people from failed nations coming in and just stealing from us, and what happened under Biden in this planned fraud mass event of stealing all of our hundreds of billions of dollars, looking like it's probably in the trillions, and we know it is. And he basically came out against Ilhan Omar hard and said, she's done. We're investigating. And so he said, USA and Europe must defend our culture, the basis for freedom and prosperity in the world, out of the Christian Western culture. And I wish he had said Christian, but he did not. And so let's move on into what Scott Bessent had to say, which was so fantastic against against Newsome today, which it's very much worth mentioning, where Bessent came in. He's done about five presentations at Davos, not to mention meetings and sitting in plenaries, etc. But he basically said America First economics is the rebalancing of world trade as fair trade for all, and that it is no longer this situation of America has no tariffs while you have huge ones on us. We are rebalancing it as fair trade for all. And if we have more money and do better than you, you're still going to do better because it's going to rise up everything. And he talks about a 39% decline in the trade deficit in the first year for America. He talked about productivity growth, and growth is surging for blue collar wage earners, and that he had the G7 finance ministers in Treasury last week. I reported on it, that basically they want to redesign critical mineral supply for the world that no longer has China holding us hostage with its Trump said it as well in his speech. He said, we don't have a rare earth. There is no rare earths. Okay, we have all of these critical minerals we need. There's just a rare earth processing problem that China has been dominating, and that will be reversed very soon. And so what Bessent said is grow, baby, grow. The only answer out of our mountain of debt, it caused by this unfair trade and massive fraud and grifting, is, of course, growth. And that the paying down of the deficit is the main goal. And they're saying we're looking at a balanced budget soon coming out of this. But then Bessent basically said a number of other things. Scott Bessent, he's a brawler. He came out and said, Swiss neutrality makes it able to box way above its weight class. Do not emulate the EU economic policies. It would destroy your country. And of course, we're seeing the EU going for sort of the fiat giveaway scenario of the US recently with von der Leyen, et cetera, with their now trying to create debt in the country, everything they thought they needed to save themselves with how they can grift all the money, basically in this creation of World War III, which Trump addressed today as well. And then Bessent on Newsome, they brought up Newsome in a question, and maybe Newsome should stay in Switzerland because he might be targeted, or not might, we hope and pray that he will be indicted for his crimes in California. But Newsome, by Bessent described Newsome as, I see Newsome as Patrick Bateman meets Malibu Ken, Malibu Beach Ken. Oh, so fantastic. Patrick Bateman, of course, is like American Psycho from the book. Just super creepy serial killer meets Malibu Barbie Ken, Malibu Beach Ken. And he's saying, he's here with his, literally said this, he's here with his sugar daddy, Alex Soros, trying to get favor for the 2028 election. He said only California, he's the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. And he said that Newsome won't even speak here, even though he's been asked to talk about his policies in California. Bessent said he's too afraid to speak because his policies bring catastrophe to California, and just ask the people from the Palisades who 1 year later are still homeless and fighting to access their own land. He said Newsome is smug, self-absorbed, and selfish. And he said, let me know if you need any more clarification on this. So a boss, Bessent, there at the World Economic Forum, and of course he is the top money guy. Okay, at Davos this year, America dominating Davos with Bessent, and of course also Lutnick in there, doing a great job as well. But Bessent is, of course, the brain who is redesigning the world's economic policies based on Trump's um, efforts to make America great again, but also America first, and to translate. We have to first go after the bigs, after the royals, after the Rothschilds, after the big banksters, to stop them stealing everything from us in order so that our domestic policies can work for people to increase their value, their wealth, their growth, get the prices down, get the jobs back. It is a two-punch system, but it has many dimensions that Trump tackled in his first year, and he did that amazing 1 hour and 45-minute speech there in front of with the press, okay, in front of with Caroline Levitt and her giving the stage over to him to celebrate his first year of accomplishments, where he held up his big book and said, "This is everything we've done." And so, really, you just it's amazing, okay? And I'll probably leave it there, even though I could talk about so much more. There's always so much more, and that's what's so fantastic. It's prayers answered. Prayers answered that Trump's plane turned around last night, and that whatever they were trying to do, because we know this electrical glitch, wasn't by accident, okay? What also wasn't by accident is God and the prayers that the American people and people across the world give to Trump, his stamina and his ability to tackle this massive satanic cartel Babylon that he is taking on our behalf, and with our help, our prayers, our work, everything we're doing in our local communities, getting involved locally, and hearing this incredible news that ODNI is about to declass huge things to do with the 2020 election steal. We have the conspiracy grand juries down in Florida with Judge Cannon at the helm. This is all fantastic news. So we're going to keep watching it. There's going to be a lot coming out this week, even though we're on hump day now. But by Friday, I would think even more incredible news coming. But we are have huge reason to be so thankful and grateful as we are warriors for the Prince of Peace here on this channel. Thank you, God, for this incredible turnaround versus the globalist elite bankster users who try to steal everything from humanity. So fantastic day today. And I'll just say, if you found something uplifting or added value or new information on this video and you want to support the channel, it would be so appreciated. And also, please like and subscribe and share. Beating the shadow banning is huge. There are behind the scenes still really huge things at play, whether it's AI and whoever's doing it, to limit my reach. And it's just ridiculous, especially because of how big the channel was before the takedown, the mass takedown. And I loved watching Ez Levant of Rebel Media go after Eric Schmidt out of Google and Alphabet when he was in charge, talking about the censorship and debanking of all of us. It is so important to appreciate the people who are doing the work. And so I want to say also my fantastic sponsor, as I mentioned with the GLP-1 drugs earlier, and what it means to take control of your metabolism and how that has to do with cellular health, and how cellular health means your endocrine system functions great, your metabolism functions great, and it's so important because this product, c60evo.com/YAFTV, use the code YAFTV for 10% off. And anybody who's ever donated to the channel gets 15% off and a different code and link sent to you. And I give away 2 bottles of the capsules that are my favorite, of the olive oil, of the ESS60 molecule. made in the most pure lab in the world out of Houston, Texas, by Americans with single source, incredible organic olive oil and other oils. We've got the MCT oil here as well for people love it for their workouts. They say it's not that it gives you better recovery, it's that it prevents the damage before the workout, during the workout by taking it in advance. So, and that's just for your dailiness. But then there's the people who are fighting the degenerative diseases or the cellular malfunction diseases like the big C, like the neurodegenerative diseases or the nervous system diseases, especially since the V and the turbo everything of disease coming out of it. Incredible results. Also migraines and other things like this with new studies that they're funding this year. Let's hope they get in with HHS and can make carbon 60 part of the MAHA movement within the stated, appreciation of RFK Jr.'s MAHA movement, because this is an incredible product that cleans out your cells, get into your mitochondria, goes into your neurons, cleaning out the garbage. And it is a miracle, truly. So check it out below. You are free, c60evo.com/YAFTV, code YAFTV for 10% off. And we'll be talking with Chris Burrs real soon as well, who is the main chemist there, the main scientist at Evo. And so anyway, so glad to be back with you today. Today is a miraculous day for America. And I'm just, I'm super thrilled. I feel like everything we've been working for 10 years is coming to fruition. And so let's just stay prayerful, America, and also very, very active with your Congress and also locally, because locally is how they take over. Okay, it's where all these injected Alex Soros minions are, controlling our DAs, controlling our police, controlling our town and city councils. So your action there, your being part of those government systems is vital. So get involved and get ready to hugely, hugely be involved in these midterms, because we need people on the ground. We need volunteers hugely for what's coming for the 2026 midterms. So thank you so much for watching. You are free, and I will see you tomorrow.